is my 99 FXR3 that I'm listing for sale. Wanted to take a video of it, kind of detailing the build, the process, how it's changed hands, just some of the history on it, stuff that you really can't put in an ad so well. So I thought I'd make a video just kind of documenting that. It's obviously not an Evo. It's got a TwinCam 124, DarkHorse Crank, S&S Heads, CP Pistons, S&S 640 cams. Really well built, very strong motor. Lots of mid-range torque. I mean, it'll pull power wheelies in first, second, and third. I mean, it gets out of its own way in a hurry. It's got a 6-speed Screamin Eagle transmission with a hydraulic clutch. And then on the primary side, Evolution Industries basket, S&S Lockup Clutch. It's got a solid front sprocket that I swapped over this past winter when I did a lot of the electronic work. Put in CycleElectric regulator, or not compensator, a regulator, stator, and the rotor are all new. Kind of updated a lot of that. So that's kind of the driveline side of things. A little bit of history on the bike. From what I understand, it was put together by a guy in Virginia originally who did the TwinCam swap, had the motor built supposedly by the Johnson family, like Kendall Johnson and Zach Johnson. So he did that. He did the paint work, and then it made its way down to Corey, who's Whiskey Throttle Speed Shop on Instagram. So he's up near Greensboro, North Carolina, and he's done some, awesome builds over the years, really high-end stuff. So he got it, and then kind of put his own spin on it. He did the Lindahl wheels, rotors. So I think the wheels are TT trackers, matching rotors, performance machine, brakes, front and rear. He updated or upgraded the front suspension, so it's a bare knuckle pawl mid glide setup that utilizes 49 millimeter tubes that are 2 over, and it's got Race Tech internals up front, Speed Merchant adjusters, so kind of all the best of the best up there. Bare knuckle pawl fork brace. So he did all that, and then had a different seat on it, a couple other things, and then I got it and kind of went the next step. So it's got a true T-Sport fairing on it with a gearbox that functions like it should. LaPera, I think it's a kickflip seat that I added. Always had LaPeras on stuff and kind of prefer them over anything else. This past winter, I added the Track Dynamic swing arm. It had Race Tech shocks on it. I swapped those for Fox just because I like the ride a little bit better. So it's got those. And then just everything on this bike has been touched, kind of top to bottom. So, and I'll highlight that in some other clips to show off those parts. But just real quick rundown, Kraus risers, Speed King bars. It's got a set of autometer gauges, which are really unique, especially at night. They look great. The front end's got a GPR stabilizer that utilizes Paul's top tree, so that's all built in there. I think I already mentioned the bare knuckle pawl fork brace. It's got an RB Racing exhaust, so I've swapped different exhausts over the last 2 years, and this one definitely fits the best, and it kind of goes with the theme of the bike and sounds pretty wicked. Power plant brake arm. It's got boosted brad, front and rear pegs, boosted brad, side plates so you can run a sissy bar. The tail lights got integrated signals in it, so those work. There's no indicator on the dash, so it's not something I use too often, but they are there. Doesn't have any front signals, doesn't have a horn. But I haven't had any issues with any of that. Really awesome bike. It flies. It's extremely unique. You can hear it coming from a mile away. Done a couple trips on it last year. Took it up to Virginia, probably did 400 miles or so round trip with that. Did great. It's certainly a hot rod. I mean, there's things that you have to keep an eye on. There are, I'm always checking bolts, just to make sure stuff is how it's supposed to be. Pretty high horsepower build. Not sure what that is. It's never been on a dyno as far as I know. It's got a super G Carb with a ThunderJet, so it definitely drinks the fuel, but runs great. Motor doesn't have any compression releases, so to compensate for that, I've got a lithium anti-gravity battery that's really high cold cranking amps, as well as a high torque all-ball starter, and then the ring gear on the clutch basket that the starter hits. It's I think it's an Evolution Industries as well, and it's got the larger teeth that are spaced apart more, so a little more torque with the starting procedure, because at one point I think a tooth had been damaged, so I swapped all that out. Yeah, it's a really incredible bike. Hate to see it go, but just I've got some other projects I want to work on, so on to the next one. I'll try to work in some clips of this and just highlight some of the parts, and then a couple videos here and there. You can find me on Instagram at TheBetzWay. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me, and I'll have kind of the ad listed there as well. Bike's located on the east side of Charlotte, so hit me up. I've shipped quite a few bikes over the years. There's really only one or two shippers I'm going to trust anymore, and I know it's all gotten expensive and its timelines have sped up, but I do have a couple decent folks that we can utilize if you'd like to do that. Strongly recommend, if you're gonna try to own this bike, or you're interested in owning this bike, I'd certainly recommend, if you're not local, get in here and looking at it in person. It's there's not much to hide, but you certainly get a better sense of the bike in person. And I'll highlight any flaws too while we're going through it. I like to pinpoint everything as much as possible, so that'll either be on this video or be in the ad. But yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, hit me up. Let me know.